That's what they say about me on the internet.
Serviceable?
Not quite as good, but serviceable.
I hope no one's saying that on the internet.
Somebody messaged me. Oh, Duck, the singer from Joystick, messaged me saying that he was playing our Banjo-Kazooie record at work, and his coworker came in and was like, "What are you listening to? Real Big Nerds?" Thank you.
Incredible. Dude, congratulations on the final one being out. Well, let's start the show. I'll start the show with that.
Adventure Guys! Adventure Guys! Now is time for Adventure Guys!
All right, welcome to Adventure Guys, the podcast for humans and dogs. I'm Eric the Human.
And I am Nick the Human. And happy Tuesday morning to you. Top of the morning. No, I don't think we should do voices on this show. It's not that kind of show. Also, I can't do voices, so I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there. Congratulations are in order for my co-host here, Eric the Human, on releasing a new album. An album that we have been talking about since the start of this podcast, right? That was right around the time that this had come into your life, and we've kind of cataloged your journey with it, and now it's here.
Yeah, finally, I'm done.
So Eric, to catch you up to speed, new listeners, Eric is in a band called the Holophonics. They make things in and around the ska genre. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, in and around, adjacent to the ska. No, it's ska.
It's ska, but then you push the boundaries, and you bring new shit into it. But along with making awesome original music, like go listen to 2018's Phantom Arrival, which I took to calling ska prog, and
we call it ska punk plus.
Great. I love that title. That tells you what you're getting.
Right? It's like starting a video game with a new game plus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the old thing, but then you just add a little extra in there. You're like, whoa, Sonic's faster or whatever. I don't know.
You don't play video games with New Game Plus save files, do you? No,
I don't. I'm sorry, I don't even know why I fronted, as they would say. But you've also made a collection of covers albums and YouTube videos, and this is your 16th ska covers album in the Mass Ska Raid series, and this is a Banjo-Kazooie covers album. And it is, and most importantly, the last ska covers album that you, Eric Daino, shall be recording and releasing.
Yeah, not our last album, as many people on the internet keep asking over and over again, even though we're very clear that we write and record original music and have been doing so for the last 8 years and will continue to do so. But it is our last ska cover album.
Yes. But last year you released a new split EP. And I feel like it got some new ears on that thing, and people have talked about it, and I'm glad. I can't wait. I'm stoked for the attention to be turned fully towards your sick original shit that you take ska punk and you jam all that great fun new stuff in. Listen to, I would say, Don't Buy the Hype, which is your number one on Spotify. That one is great because it's just like, how long is that song? 1 minute and 45 seconds?
Yeah, it's short.
But the amount of ideas and twists and turns you get within that 1 minute and 45 seconds lets you know the ride that you're in on with this band. I love it.
Yeah, I guess if any Holophonics fans are listening, here's some insider info. But the next album is written and demoed.
Oh,
original music.
Yes.
Front to back. It has come into existence. It will be a real recording as soon as we're all vaccinated and we can get in a room together and actually play it.
That is exciting.
But yeah, there is another album of original music. It's ready to go.
I love it.
And we're not finished being a band, despite ignorant YouTube comments.
You YouTuber comments. Come on, you guys. I'm glad to keep us posted on the updates. Maybe we could get a snippet one day of a piece of a demo when it's appropriate.
No.
Okay. I tried, Holophonics fans. But that's a big week. Exciting shit, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. Just a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
It's over. I mean, here's something that I think I've been pretty clear about for years, but people still keep asking. Like, I haven't even chosen my own songs to cover in 3 years. Like, we've just been doing this out of obligations. Like, the last time that I did a ska cover that I wanted to, it was our Jimmy Eat World tribute in 2017.
So how did that happen? I know that you did some Kickstarters and such. Did more people select that option than you were interested in? I know you got commissioned for this new album.
Yeah, well, we were going to go on tour in 2018 to support Phantom Arrival, and the fuel pump on the van just shit out. So I needed to get a new one, like, kind of quickly, and we were just like, let's do a fundraiser, like, informal. Won't set up like a crowdfunding thing or anything. We'll just, like, if you PayPal us $100, we'll record a cover of any song you want. And that was not a viable market price because we got way too many requests. And it took like 2.5 years to record all of them.
Wow.
Longer than that. No, yeah, 2.5 years to record like almost 50 different songs, and I didn't pick any of them. And honestly, I didn't like a lot of them. I'm sorry.
That's hard. Well, if you're listening, I'm sure it wasn't yours. I'm sure your selection was great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good idea, and that's cool that many people wanted them, but I can only imagine the albatross such an endeavor would become. But hey, now they're up there forever on the streaming, and maybe it'll bring more people to you, you know? I don't know. I'm being positive yet again, as is my general demeanor.
I was so negative earlier today, and then we had a pretty we talked for like an hour before we started this podcast.
Yeah.
That was a pretty positive conversation.
It was.
I don't know if any of it will make bonus clip material.
Yeah, I don't know
we
either.
divulged a lot of personal info during that.
We did.
The mics were hot, but we talked a lot about we talked at length about our social security numbers and mother's maiden names.
Yeah.
So,
but we're back on track. I'm trying to be a positive.
my social security number 420-691312. Not afraid to put that out there.
Is that really it?
420-691312.
Yeah.
Yep, that's really it.
That's a pretty cool one.
Hey, did you listen to that album I recommended a little while ago, The Drummer from Thank You Scientist?
Oh, no, it's in my to listen to folder. I start a new to listen to folder each month. And actually the one that I've been adding things to is like 3 months. So I need to start a new one. I'll throw that on the top. What is the name of this record again?
So her solo project is called Trust Fund Ozu. And the album is amazing. I love it so much. It's it's like 100 Gex meets Thank You Scientist.
Oh yeah, and this is the Joe one? Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very humorous. The lyrics are great. There's a song where she just like says her like the last 4 digits of her social security. And I don't know if they're real or not. I don't know what we would do with them if they're real. But she doesn't give a fuck. She's just like, here they are. Here's my last 4.
Can you hear me cycling through the songs in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, this sounds cool. This sounds like something I'm going to be into. I also have, as discussed in the show, gotten really into Ozu, the film director. I don't know if there's any sort of connection there, or if that's somebody's name.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reference, but I don't know how it, works into any of the music, if at all.
Oh yeah, but
it's funny.
Just the name, yeah. Oh, that's fun. Okay, that's on there. That's coming in. I'm getting in there. Nice. You know what I did also love is this episode. I thought this episode of Adventure Guys was fucking fantastic.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Episode discussion.
Yeah, man, I would put this up there. Like, you know what? We had this conversation a lot. Like, one of the ongoing bits of this show was that we were going to rank each episode with like a ranking system we were going to come up with. Remember that? That was very short-lived, but
Yeah.
we abandoned it. And you'll hear if you go back and listen to the early episodes, although it seems a lot of people are listening to the show in order, which is really cool. But so you probably know that early on in the first couple episodes, I kept going, this is the best episode of Adventure Time I've ever seen. And I kept saying that. And I even said, I think this is going to wear off. And I've loved every episode I've seen, but the last couple, like, I did not feel like they were top tier. And then this one, I was like,
Yeah.
I really like this one. Now, it could be that there's obviously an alternate animation style in this one.
Yeah, so this is one of, I think there are 6 episodes in the series that have guest animators. And it's kind of a cool thing that they did because they basically hand over the reins completely to someone else. And they're like, write it, storyboard it, do your own thing. You have total control for a single episode.
Wait, so obviously it's not just a different animation style, but they literally were like, you animator who's never worked on the show, you also get to write this episode.
Yeah.
Wow, that is mind blower to me.
Yeah, so this is Kristen Lepore's episode, and it is the only stop motion episode of Adventure Time, but that's her specialty.
I can't believe that. Like, I mean, just think about that though. I don't know Kristen Lepore's background. I'm going to Google that now. But to hand over the reins of this show that you have been so carefully like looking over is crazy. Oh yeah, look at this. I'm looking at her credits. Oh wow, so she literally graduated from like getting her Master of Fine Arts. Her short film came out in 2013, and she made Bad Jubies, this episode, in 2014-15. Wow, so they like literally found her and were like, you want to do this episode? Yeah, written, directed, story by. I wonder.
Yep.
I want to know. Wow. That is really cool.
And it's a good episode, obviously. Every time they've done that, it's like unanimous critical acclaim. It's like all the guest animator episodes like are just universally loved by everyone.
Yeah, so she was approached about helming the project after Adam Muto, the showrunner, saw her CalArts MFA thesis, and then she spent roughly 1 year to make it and was animated by Bix Pix Entertainment. Yeah, and look at this. Yeah, positive critical acclaim. Over 1.2 million people saw it. Oh my gosh, look at this. So the production designer won Outstanding Individual Achievement Animation. In 2017, the episode was nominated for an Annie Award. I don't know what that is for Best Animated Show, but that's cool. Holy smokes. Yeah, I mean, look, I thought it was... And this goes to... Because obviously the animation I was saying may have just, lighted my synapses in my brain and let some serotonin flow, which was cool. And it's... The animation, while we're just talking about it, is absolutely beautiful, I would say.
It's interesting. I mean, it's got a lot of those old references to like the stop motion claymation kind of stuff that, I'm sure we saw when we were kids, like Gumby and that kind of thing. But it feels really modern, and it's got like all the typical Adventure Time, little quirks. So I'm not like a connoisseur of stop motion animation. I don't have like a wide experience, and knowledge of the repertoire per se. Mm-hmm. But so in that sense, it was refreshing to see it. But I don't know how to judge it by reference to anything else.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But I just like, there's just like an early shot, like some of the shots with Jake in this episode. Well, first of all, weather plays a big part in it, which is great because there gets to be a whole multitude of different things that happen animation wise. But there's some really great shots of Jake on a hill or on a cliff with like a really beautifully animated sky and like just the way this like lighting, like they really nail the lighting on these in some of these shots. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like basically it's a pretty simple episode, right? It's almost like kind of a more classic cartoon sort of an episode with obvious twists because it's Adventure Time.
I guess it's technically non-canon, as all the guest animated episodes are.
Huh.
It feels like it could be canon.
It could be. It wouldn't make much of a difference.
Yeah. Although, you know, I will say, like, it's similar to typical Adventure Time fare, but it's just a little bit off. Like, the tone is just, like, a little bit different. And I don't mean, like, you know, the visual representation thereof, but just, like, the way that dialogue happens and, like, the scene structure is just, like, a little bit removed.
Do you have examples of maybe some of these differences? Can you think?
You know, I think some of the dialogue is a little bit more expository than typical in Adventure Time.
Yeah.
And I know that they were dealing with production limitations in that, you know, they could only do like a few characters in this episode.
And a few settings probably too, which would explain there's really three settings in the entire show, and two of them are very close.
Yeah, so there are a couple things that they have to talk about rather than show, which is usually not something that animated productions run into because you can just draw whatever you want to draw.
Yeah, it's one of the pluses of animation.
Yeah, so other than like a little bit more like talky kind of stuff than usual, that might be the only thing that seemed a little bit weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really great just classic Adventure Time gags. So it's opening. Jake is surfing on BMO over the grass hills out front of the treehouse, which is fun. LSP is there. God damn, we don't know why. Other than maybe she was an easy character to animate in this style. And she really does play a function in the plot. Although you probably guessed it, she's very annoying. Sean, we actually asked Sean Harvey to come back on the show. We said, hey, is another LSP episode. You've done one or two of those. And he said, I am fully out on anything Lumpy Space Princess, and declined the offer. So we'll have to get him back for a different one. But then then they're there, and then BMO gets shorted out because of all the electricity of gliding on the grass. And then is overtaken by an emergency weather system update. And BMO's fun, simple face takes on this complex etch-a-sketch of a scary man who's talking about a storm that is headed their way. And it's funny. They say something like, they use all these Adventure Time words, and they say, like, your chance of survival, 29%. They're like, how long is it going to take? And it's like the 7-day forecast. It's going to be a whole week. So then they're like, all right. What we need to do is we need to build, I think it's Finn's idea. Like, we need to build, what do they call it? Like a cave or a hideout, a bunker?
Yeah, bunker, something like that.
Yeah, a bunker, so that we can just hide out in here. So then they set to building out this bunker, and right away, all of the differences between the characters, what does it come to start to illuminate? Most noticeably with LSP, who her job is to get food. She takes it from a cabin nearby, and it's pretty much just all chips, and they're confused why the food is there, but they take it. Finn is making the bunker. BMO is dutifully helping, even though he is very small. And Jake is just taking some time to, quote, work on something.
Yeah, Jake is being real weird the whole episode.
He's meditating. He's just enjoying nature. Maybe sort of enjoying the present. Like, he's saying a lot of mindfulness kind of stuff, and you're kind of like it. Now, what's cool about it is that he's a dog and a storm is coming, and dogs hate storms. So him being the evolved dog is like, the storm's coming in. I'm not going to enjoy this. So I'm going to appreciate it before I lose my shit over the thunder or whatever, you know. That's kind of how I took it, which was fun.
Yeah, he's communing with nature in a way that does pay off at the end.
Yes, and you're not wasn't sure if it was going to. Now they're working on the bunker. LSP is getting pissed off, and BMO hears this and goes, "Okay, BMO, go tell Jake." And we get now this is another really fun BMO song where BMO's singing about water, but water in my body, and then BMO gets hit with some water and electrocutes and goes, "I will never know the pleasure of skinny dipping." Just some great BMO shit. And Jake's just covered in birds and is like a man of the wilderness. And they do more, and now they're getting ready to finish. And LSP is just getting furious because like they're not making enough headway. Jake is literally not helping build this bunker. They had to like dig out a lot of land to make this bunker, by the way, right? Like 150 square foot like area to make that size of a bunker. Like, there's a lot of manpower that went in. Anyway, so they finish it. LSP gets mad and goes and flies out and confronts Jake, who's meditating on a cliff. And is like, you need to help. And he's like, I'm working on something. Like, it's going to be okay. LSP, enjoy the moment. Look outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jake's. He was frustrating.
And it was frustrating.
Was
and
a
it's
little
just,
bit frustrating in this episode.
It was frustrating. This
like,
is the first time maybe I was like, LSP, I'm with you. Jake is being frustrating. But I think there's some symbols in this episode which we haven't gotten into in a while that we'll get to later. But I think one of the before I forget it, what Jake's getting at is storms will come. It is a fact of life. And if we concern ourselves fully on avoiding said storms, we will miss the beauty of the present moment, which are these birds and everything. If you're so caught up in the storms, because you know what, there's always going to be a storm, so you need to stop. Now that's just has some deeper meaning than I'm pulling from this ep, and we're going to get into more of that later as the storm approaches.
Okay.
But then they're down there and they're like, Jake, you gotta where's Jake? And Finn's like, he hates the lightning, and then it lightnings, and then Jake jumps in. They're like, you're back, and then
oh yeah,
they batten down the hatches.
Every time Jake in this series does something that's like regular, normal life dog related, I love.
Me too.
Because you forget that he is a dog sometimes.
You do.
And then he hates the lightning. Like, of course he does.
Of course he's a dog. And then they're in there and they're sort of like, and they're like, well, what did you bring? And he's like, I was working on something. It's in my notebook. And Finn's sort of like, you didn't bring anything. So basically, like, now he's sort of like, you're my best friend, but like, geez, dude. And LSP immediately is like, I'm bored already. Like, we need to play a game, and wants to play spin the bottle. And now you're getting into some just classic dumbass LSP material, which you should have known. And at that point, I was like, holy shit, they're going to be stuck with LSP in a bunker for a week. I was like, why did Finn come up with this idea? That I would have been out there. If I was BMO, I'd be like, yeah, fuck that. And then they're like, no. And then she jugs a seltzer, and Finn's like, you got to ration our shit. And then she breaks it. She's like, I'm going to text Brad. And then
right, she wanted an empty bottle so they could play spin the bottle, and then she just smashes it on the ground.
Then when they say no, she takes the bottle, chugs down water, smashes the bottle in anger. That right there tells you everything about this character.
Yeah.
What are her wants and desires? It's never even about that. It's like she needs some sort of validation, gratification at all times. And I know she's supposed to be a 16-year-old girl. I think it goes beyond communicating anything about any sort of person. This is really just an insufferable, selfish person. Then she falls asleep. They're all asleep for a while. They wake up and LSP has finished their food. Presumably within the first couple hours of being in the said bunker, right?
Yeah, she looks like a real crazy person after eating everything.
And they're trying to get her, and then like she's running all around, and then she like BMO's plugged into the lights. She breaks the wire of the lights, like just some classic LSP shit where she gets so emotional and just ruins everything. Finn's like, Jake, like, I could have like. And the door is open for some reason, and they're like, I don't understand why. And they're like, we could have made this place better if my best friend helped me out. And they're all getting mad, and they're all mad at Jake. And then Jake's like, well, look, I've been working on this. I was going to save it for later, but I'll show you now. And it's the big reveal. And Jake, with his mouth, starts singing bird songs and reproducing the sounds of nature. A pond, a bird, the breeze, the air, grass in the wind. And you can see it's casting a sort of spell over everybody. BMO sheds a digital tear and comments how beautiful it is. And they're almost encapsulated in this cloud, and the color of the cloud and the hue of it is like that beautiful nature scene we saw earlier in the episode with the sun setting. And they look so peaceful until they're disturbed by the evil storm that comes crashing through the door of the bunker. And then when I say picture the storm crashing through the bunker, you're probably just picturing like wind going and rain and stuff. And that happens. But then a personified version of this storm literally pokes his head through the opening of the bunker and is now in there as some sort of evil spirit, warlock, whatever the hell you want to call it, and yelling at them. Now, right?
Yeah.
Does the storm have a name?
No, he's just the storm.
The storm, and he's a tornado. And he's nasty. And as they were saying, Jake was saying, like, it's bad Jubies. Like, it's bad juju. Like, I think we really got to sing to get this thing out of here. So then they're there, and then he's singing, and he can't because this storm is so, like, mean and loud. And he's like, I can't do this alone. And Finn is like, Jake, we can't sing with you. Like, we didn't learn the songs. We haven't practiced. And his response is, there's no time to get self-conscious. You just have to go. And they all do their best, which isn't very good, especially LSP's terrible.
Yeah.
And they start singing, and produces that cloud again. And then it really has an effect on the storm. He's like, wow, he's like, what was that sound? Right. And he's like, and it's like a sound it's like the bird sound. And he'd basically forgotten what a bird sounds like because birds are never around when a storm's around. And he was like,
that was cute.
Yeah. He's like, I never learned to stop and slow down. Like, it's okay to be a breeze sometimes, which is like my quote of the episode, and just gets back into the deeper lore and like, I think bigger symbols of the episode. Because think about it. It's okay to be a breeze sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to maybe let go of the past or the storms or what you're supposed to be, or let go of these different things and be present in the current moment. He was just a breeze one day and got caught up in all this business of being a storm and being mean because that's who he is and his identity. And it's like, I can just be a breeze. And also, how do they defeat the bad vibes, the bad juju that comes to us? They defeat it with the good juju. They defeat it with like the optimism. With this inner peace that they have created through the observance of nature and appreciation of the present moment, are able to call on that and use it as for strength and almost like a power to defeat this onslaught of bad things that come their way. And thus, the best way to prepare for oncoming bad vibes, for oncoming a storm, right? The emotional storm and turbulence that is life, is not to run around trying to figure out how to avoid it, how to defend yourself, to raise your armor, to get your supplies, to do all these things, to get your money, to get your house. No, by simply enjoying the present moment being, you are going to build inner strength, peace, sanctimonium that you can come back to later in these turbulent times and use and fall back on. And this is Nick Symbol Corner has reemerged. And that's the end.
I mean, yeah, as far as metaphors go, I think this one's, pretty easy to key into the general themes, which allows them to lean into representing it in a much more literal form, which I found hilarious, because the song with Jake beatboxing over bird sounds is actually really cool. And when when the storm is like, into the actual music, they present it as him just really liking that song.
Yeah.
And Jake's like, oh yeah, well here I wrote it down. You can have the sheet music.
Oh yeah.
I like that. I like that the metaphor is so easily understandable that they can go further into its literal representation in a comedic way. It's like the concept of writing down beatboxing birds in sheet music is really funny to me. I appreciate that representation so much.
Oh man, great observation. I agree with you. Holy, yeah. Yeah, I mean it's great. It's I think it's what makes a show like this so special is that, you know, if you wanted to communicate something like this, like you look at the materials you have available to you, the characters and the settings, and like how do we like create a story that might talk about some of these things, or like you're creating a story and you stumble into the themes. I think that just like some of the genius of the show is by nature of the characters that they created in the world. It just like it lends these themes to come up so naturally, so they can have a one-off episode like this and personify a storm and all this stuff, and it just literally feels like totally commonplace. I mean, that's what's beautiful about cartoons and in this show, I think. Super cool.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if one of those quotes from this episode winds up in between tracks on a future album of mine.
Oh, really? Do you want to? We can leave that be a surprise, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, dude. Did you see any sort of snail-like creatures that were animated differently in this episode?
Did you see the snail? Did you see the snail? Did you see it?
No, I did not see the snail. Nick, did you see the snail?
No, I did not.
Yeah. I don't know if the snail was in the episode. I don't know if the snail is in the guest animated
He has to be.
Here, I don't know if the snail actually is in every single episode, guest animated or otherwise.
Great question. We need.
And
I
don't know if there's a way for us to even find that out. I think that knowledge is forbidden.
Wow. I really thought that the snail was ever. Here's the thing. I just remembered this episode really well because I loved it so much. I wanted to watch it a second time, which is usually where I catch the snail, but I ran out of time this week. And I was bummed because I was like, I actually want to watch that episode again. We shall never know, Eric, unless we watch it again.
Yeah, I see people talk about it on the internet, and I always see the comment pop up, yeah, it's not in a few episodes, but which episodes, and how do you know? And are we allowed to verify that? Let's just leave it. We didn't see the snail.
We didn't see it.
He was probably there, but we didn't see him. That's what I choose to believe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine with it. All right.
Time for Miscellanea Mania.
MISCMANIA.
There's things you may not know. Those Eric and Nick will show you all the trivia in Miscellanea Mania.
Well, now here's something very cool about the show, or this episode in general, is that there's a full-on big old Wikipedia page for this episode. Did you find that, Eric?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't look for it, though.
You didn't look for it. Yeah. I mean, really cool. I mean, I was prepared to talk about a little bit of it. We've talked about some of it. A lot of it will involve me referencing said page because it's really quite a cool story that I found. Now, Eric, I usually lead Miscellanea Mania. Are you cool if I take a stab at a little bit and add in some color commentary of whatever I miss? I don't know if you picked up any, but as mentioned, Adamuto saw the episode, or saw the short film entitled Move Mountain by Kristen Lepore. who that was her MFA thesis at Cal Arts, and reached out to her and was like, hey, would you want to work on the show? Now, I think that Adam Muto said that like they'd really wanted to do a stop motion episode for a really long time. They were just looking for like the right time in the series and the right fit. And she, like Kristen Lepore, was like, I know this is a huge opportunity, and she was really excited to get it. But like with that being said, she had never seen an episode of Adventure Time, although she did start watching it to get the aesthetic, and then eventually said she ended up loving the show and it became one of her favorites. But that's pretty wild. And then that it took it, like I said before, a year to make. And it says that 5 or 6 months were devoted exclusively to writing, storyboarding, and pitching the plot to the show's writers and the network. And she like hadn't written much dialogue previously to this, because her like previous like student films didn't have any dialogue in them. Yeah, and she said that she like relegated herself to her bedroom for 5 weeks while she wrote and storyboarded the entirety of the episode. So she must have gone really deep. August 15th, 2014, she submitted the storyboard for approval, which was given approval, and then they teamed up with like this animation company, and they made all the backdrops, props, the puppets, and she directed it, and she was directing 4 different animators while making this, and there were like a bunch of technical challenges, it says here, because she taught herself how to animate mainly, so she had to learn like industry like methods for like making sure that your puppets don't fall over or your shots aren't intruded by human error, like like different things happening. So with the 4 animators, they were able to like get 4 times as much footage as you normally would get in a single day. And yeah, I don't know. This is like a lot of really cool shit in here.
Yeah, I read a bunch of this on from that book Exploring the Land of Ooh by Paul Thomas.
Yeah.
He's got a whole chapter on all the guest animated episodes.
That's cool. And they said here that they got like somebody else to score the episode by the name of Disaster Piece.
Yeah.
Richard Vreeland.
So that guy did the music for this game called Fez, which is like a pretty well-known indie video game. Like it was one of like the first like big indie games, and there was a lot of hype around it because it was pretty much like this one guy that made this entire video game himself. And I guess he got Disaster Piece to do the music for it. But there's a documentary that I watched about this game years ago. Really interesting. It was like one person like learning how to make a video game from scratch, like by himself. Really cool. And I think that was like at the time, one of Disaster Piece's like biggest things out there. Like he did the music for this game called Fez.
That's cool. I gotta check that out. And it says that he went on to score some movies, one of which being this movie called Under the Silver Lake, which I've been meaning to see for goddamn years. So maybe I'll watch that later or something. But that's cool. And it says that like Kristen Lepore herself provided like a collage of nature sounds to use in like the creation of the episode and like the music and stuff. Super cool, man. I love it. I love that there's so much lore. I gotta get that book. Well, that's a download. You sent me the link to it. Exploring the Land of Ooh by Paul Thomas. Oh right. Okay. I just smushed together the 2 Adventure Time books. Yeah, Paul Thomas. We've been chatting a little bit. Oh my god, dude! I wasn't listening because I was really just thinking about the show. I was Googling Disaster Piece and Fez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Paul Thomas. I've been seeing him on Twitter. Pretty active in Adventure Time fandom. Seems like a cool dude. And that's awesome, Eric. I'm gonna go peruse. I said I was gonna peruse through that book, and now I am admitting online that I have online in my pockets. I haven't done it, but I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now.
So yeah, other than like the cool unique story behind this guest animation process. Only other like kind of interesting bit of trivia that I saw about this episode was that we get to hear the actual emergency alert system sound when BMO was warning about the storm.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently it is illegal under normal circumstances to put that in a TV show because it will activate like equipment or whatever.
Wow. That's crazy.
I don't know how they managed to get that in there.
Yeah, how'd they get past that?
I mean, all of us are familiar with that sound.
Yeah. Of course. I
would insert that into the podcast if I didn't just learn that it would be illegal to do so.
I was going to ask if you wanted to try to impersonate it, but I guess not.
What if somebody sampled that and put it in a lo-fi hip hop song?
Should absolutely happen. I gotta get your. I'm not making or haven't yet made any lo-fi beats, but I've been making lots of electronic music. One of which is like a hip hop style beat, which it's just A section, B section, and it's over. But I actually really like making music free of form or no form. But I don't know what it takes to really sample on a record. Like you have to clear it, right? Technically.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole process.
Kind of like covers, right?
The more popular way to do it now is just to re-record the sample with yourself, and people can get it pretty damn close these days. So
yeah, the problem is mine. It's like an old jazz recording. Well, we'll see what happens. That's some good.
Did we ever talk about that album? It was Pretty Lights.
Oh yeah,
because he sampled. That was his thing. Was like using samples, and then he did that album where he like hired a studio band to like record like 4 hours of like improvised material, and then he had like improvised original material, and then he had that material pressed onto vinyl so that he could sample the vinyl of his original music that he hired a band to play.
Pretty Lights did that?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a crazy idea.
Right? Like you have to have so much time and money to do that.
Wow. That's pretty cool though. I like that idea. Is it good? Which is the album? I'm looking at his albums.
I don't know. I don't remember. It was maybe like 8 years ago.
Wow, that's fun. Hell yeah, dude. Well, I'll check that out. I liked that Miscellaneous Mania, by the way. We did some good stuff in there. Should we pick an episode for next week?
What are we gonna watch next week? What are we gonna watch? It's the episode generator.
All right, sure. Episode 208, which is season 7, episode 9. Stakes Part 4, The Empress Eyes.
Jumping in deep, huh?
This is part of the Marceline miniseries.
Part 4, I don't remember. I've seen it. I don't remember what Part 4 exactly is in the story. Should be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you like this, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Adventure Guys New York on Twitter. If you could like us or rate us on iTunes, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully y'all don't mind listening to an ad that we put in the middle of every episode. We make like half a penny every time you listen to it or something like that. But hey, if anyone wants to advertise like your own product or whatever you have, I don't know, maybe we can put in a real ad for someone.
Yeah. Rather than just hearing about the same thing each week. Like, I would love to do that. I would love to talk about something of value that you guys would care about. If you got a podcast, if you got a band, if you got like whatever your project is, like let's work something out.
I don't know what the going rate is, but I'm sure we can negotiate the finer details via email at didyouseethemail@gmail.com.
Yes, let's do it. Nice. Cool.
All right, good app, everyone.
Great app. I loved this one.
Peace out, y'all.